Hi, this is Antonin Malingre of the French Blackgaze band Morteminence, and you are listening to The Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio.
Antonin, thank you very much for taking time out for this interview. It's a great pleasure to have you here at the Metal Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Thank you as well.
Morteminence, a Blackgaze band from Rouen, started in winter back in 2016. Talking about Rouen. Rouen is a capital of the northern French region of Normandy. It is a port city on the river Seine, important in the Roman era and Middle Ages. It has Gothic churches such as Saint Maclou and Saint-Ouen, and cobblestones pedestrian center with medieval half-timbered houses. The skyline is dominated by the spires of Cathedral Notre Dame de Rouen, much painted by Impressionist Claude Monet. Antonin, explain us how is the metal scene in Rouen, in Paris, and in France in general, and especially when we talk about post-black metal or blackgaze metal.
So, in Rouen specifically, the metal scene in France is quite huge and quite active, and there are really a lot of bands out there. Specifically, in Rouen, we have a really rough and angry and bunch of bands. Actually, it started with doom metal bands like Ataraxie, which is a quite known band in extreme doom metal, and we also have a lot of black metal in Rouen. We have the band Sordide, which are friends of mine, the band Mort, C'est du Métard, Infernet. We also have another great extreme doom band called Malmort. It's really a place where a bunch of people are really digging extreme and dark metal. So I don't know if it's linked to the ambience and the feeling of living in such a city, which is really dark and with all its Gothic and medieval architecture, and the fact that it's actually cold and rainy most of the year. But yeah, we have a lot of good bands here. The metal scene in France in general seems quite well. There are a lot of bands, a lot of venues are promoting metal gigs, and we also have a lot of festivals, the biggest ones being the Hellfest, which is one of the biggest music festivals in Europe in general. In Europe, I couldn't say because I haven't traveled too much in other than France, but yeah, we do our country with metal. And the thing is that so-called blackgaze thing was actually kind of born in France with the band Alcest, which are around for something like maybe 15 or 20 years now, which started mixing black metal with influence from indie rock, post-rock, and mostly shoegaze. And actually they becoming one of the most important bands in France, and they are gaining recognition beyond the metal scene. Some people who are not really into metal start digging Alcest and really enjoying hearing and seeing this band, and they are a big influence to us as well. We have a lot of post-black metal band which followed this band, and it's quite great we have that in France. Yeah,
I had this great opportunity to travel to France and to travel to many cities in France, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm talking about something like 15 or 20 years ago, I believe. And I was recently, a couple months, about a year ago, was in Paris. I drove through Calais as well. I see that the country is really nice. I haven't been there for 20 years, but I still recognize most of the places I already visit. Once again, to me, France is one of the beautiest countries in Europe.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, also have a lot of dark sides, and it's kind of weird country to live in right now. But yeah.
As you was talking about Alsace, I had this great opportunity to interview a lady that lives in Paris, and she works, have a very great relationship with Alsace, and she works together with Niche. Niche helped her making her album she made a year or two ago. I'm talking about the band, or it's a side project, Sylvain.
Oui.
So through Sylvain, I had a chance to get in touch with Niche. I'm hoping to interview Niche anytime soon for his brand new album via Nuclear Blast, just released, I think, like a month or two ago, Spiritual Instinct.
Yes.
But continue with our interview, Antonin. Yes, you formed Morteminence after the splitting up of your previous band, Mutiara di Monsara. what is the reason that the band split? And tell us about the other bands that you belong or was. Me and my Will to Die and Non-Self. Are you part of this band still?
Yes, I am. So actually, regarding Tierra de Montserrat, it was actually started as a one-man band project, but I was like really young. I was still in high school, and once I went to college, I gathered some musicians to play with. We were quite young, and eventually our lives got in several directions. I moved to Rouen. My bass player stayed in the town we were in, Caen, which is like 100 kilometers from Rouen. It's also in Normandy. And my guitar player was moving to Brittany. So it was kind of hard to see each other and rehearse and play gigs. And we didn't have quite the time to develop the thing as we wanted it to. So we released a final EP and then split. We had a farewell concert and then it was goodbye. And then I started Morteminence. And I also have, as you mentioned, some other projects. The first one being Non-Self, which is blackened power electronics or something like that. It was just meant to be a solo project in which I play guitar loops and make some noise and experimental stuff and just be really harsh and mean in what I do. It's kind of my way to express real dark things out. And the other one being Me and the Will to Die, a rap project which started with a friend I met in college. The thing was to combine elements from black metal and especially depressive black metal with some French rap, some trap instrumentations, and we released 2 EPs in that musical directions. It was like sampling a part from a boredom or a Shining song and rapping on it, and it was kind of also a project to express real dark things and explore new musical directions. And now I also happen to be in a black metal duo which is called Oderg In. It's a project I have with a friend of mine, Benjamin, and we are just 2 members. He plays some guitar loops, repetitive and melodic and atmospheric guitar loops, and I sing and make some noise over it, and we're just 2. There is no bass and no drums, and we're working on our first album. And I also have some other projects from one time to another, but it changes a lot, and I kind of do a lot of things because I'm unemployed, and I kind of have all the time that I want to do some music, so I just experiment things and I just do things and whatever happens.
Very interesting what you're doing. Very busy, Antonin.
Yeah.
Go back to what we hear for Morteminence. You formed this band back in the winter 2016 with a desire to produce a cult massive and skin deep musical hybrid directly inspired by initiators of Blackgaze Heretoir, Amesoeurs and Alcest, to name some. Morteminence was also inspired by the Japanese horror muse such as Yunon and Kairo. Please share with us, how was the band started and how did you complete it? The band full lineup.
The very beginning, there were 3 demos I came up with in summer 2016. I was searching for some musicians just to get a live band, and I met Vincent. Was involved in some modern metal project. He had a gent band called Cycles. He's also in the chiptune scene. He makes some kind of really funny but at the same time really dark music with some Game Boys and weird old synthesizer stuff. And we met and we thought we had a lot of things to share in music, and we had a lot of things in common in our way of doing music, so we decided to start it. Then we recruited another guitarist, Jérémy, and then a friend of mine, which I met more in which was more a militant friend, actually, Bény, who joined us as a bassist. We had a first drummer, but he just stayed for 2 or 3 rehearsals before we just kicked him out. And then we found Nicolas, who's involved in another great band from Rouen called Monos, some kind of a drone experimental band. There are a lot of musicians in there. There are 2 drums player playing just toms and cymbals and 4 bass and 1 singer. It's a really harsh and ritualistic drone black metal stuff. And we joined, and then finally we got a full lineup and we started playing gigs.
In 2018, the group released 2 EPs. The first one, 135, released on July 2nd, 2018, and the second one, 24, released on 29 October 2018. Both explore the themes of the loss of meaning, alienation, and isolation engendered by capitalist society, the fury of struggling to save a current world at its lost, and this under fundamentally anarchized reading grid. Okay, please give us some details on these EPs, Antonin. What is the rap anarchized black metal movement?
The idea I had in the first place, I wanted the songs to be narrative and conceptual. I wanted to write some kind of a story, which is kind of the mental struggle you go on when you're starting to get politically involved. Yeah, I would say the far-left ideology, the realization that this world is completely wrong and that you absolutely want to do something about it and play your own part in trying to saving it. Then realizing that there is not, even if you have some ways of actions, you cannot really do anything, and the capitalist death machine is unstoppable, and you can do nothing about it, and then you just have to cope with it and just realize that things are in some way completely lost and find your way to be comfortable with yourself inside a dying world. It was kind of the idea of the project. I wanted to tell the story in a non-linear way, a bit like, actually just like Star Wars, not telling the first part of the story first, but telling some parts in unlogical order. So that's why the first EP is called 1, 3, 5, because the 3 songs on the first EP are the first, third, and fifth part of the story. And on the second EP, 2, 4, it is the second and the fourth part of the story. So if you complete the tracks in the good order, it tells you actually a story. It has some kind of an intellectual and ideological travel leading to somehow being completely lost and being able to do nothing about it.
Antonin, what is the rap anarchized black metal movement?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of a complicated question because it was said Euronymous from Mayhem himself was actually kind of leftist. He was more into Stalin worshipping, which I am completely against. But it's quite funny when you see the actually on the Live in Leipzig vinyl, and you have a lot of old flyers of old newsletters written by Euronymous himself, and you can see that it was really inside kind of a crust punk way of thinking his music. He was really punk in his attitude, and he was playing in squats and independent venues, and he kind of had that thing. Eventually, black metal scene became really Nazi friendly because Burzum killed Mayhem, but that's a story. Yeah, the thread and anarchist black metal movement actually starts from few bands from North and South America. The ones that comes to mind now are mostly Icecra, which is a Canadian band. They were more also like a crust punk band, but they were playing crust punk so fast and so hard and so mean that this was kind of black metal. And we had a lot of bands emerging mostly from the United States, which claimed to be from the far left, thinking for example, Wolves in the Throne Room, which are kind of some ecolo anarchists. The thing that I wanted to really be clear about that band is that we were not going to have any part in being involved with some people we are not politically in agreement. So we have I think kind of a problem in France, but I don't think it's in France in general. France has kind of a problem with the rise of far right. It's a social thing for sure, but in the black metal scene you can see it very clearly because many bands today are really vague about their political views, and when you start digging up, you can see some pretty nasty shit. One of the most recognized and known French black metal band is Peste Noire. Peste Noire, which was a band that I kind of really liked like 10 years ago because they were just some kind of a raw and depressive black metal digging inspiration from romantic literature and stuff like that. But a few years ago, they turned out to make some really shitty music and being total Nazi punks. And seriously, this band is just awkward. They are actually really deeply involved in the really radical far-right movement in France. They have friends with some Nazi militias. They also have a lot in common, and they also are really in deep with the Ukrainian nationalist movement called the Azov Regiment and the Misanthropic Division. And it's just so sad to see that so many bands in France are kind of just random far-right guys who just play some pretty shitty black metal just because they are lost and can't do anything else in their lives. This seems to be dominated by Nazis. I think it was kind of important to state when you're a black metal band in France or somewhere else that you don't agree with that. And even if your music is extreme and you have some really rough and dark shit to talk about, that you do not endorse or support any of that shit.
Antonin, thank you very much for this great explanation about this, anarchist black metal movement. Yes, continue with this interview. First, a black metal concert organized by IAM Panam.
Yes.
That was done on March 31st this year, if I'm not wrong, at La Cantine du Belleville in France, Paris. Tell us about this metal concert, and did you guys play there as well?
Yes, it's kind of a good question after the previous question, because actually it was the idea of AIM, which is an anti-fascist anarchist collective, to organize a black metal concert with only leftist band, because they did not really exist in France. Just promote safe and non-Nazi black metal, which was to me kind of important because we have one in particular, the other one just disappeared. We have two black metal festivals in France which were kind of problematic. The first one being the Ragnarok Festival, which claimed to be an apolitical festival, but you had a lot of really weird bands playing, actually some renowned black metal bands from the Eastern, like Nocturnal Mortum or Waveland, which are musically great bands, I admit it, but it's a well-known fact that they are really in the far right, really wrong way. And we also have an absolutely garbage festival called the Call of Terror, which is organized by a far-right organization, which was before this NSBM started to become a thing. They were organizing gigs within the Rock Against Communism and a hatecore thing. Now they're making black metal festival, and seriously, so much people are going there without asking any question about the organization. The fact being that this is directly linked to the far-right activists. The festival is going on in a venue lent by the town, but money goes directly to some pretty nasty things. So it was important for the IAM to say, hey guys, black metal does not belong to you, okay? So we're gonna do our own stuff. We're gonna do some kind of a cultural counterattack and making gigs with only leftist black metal band. And this is how this concert happened. And there was us, and there was meant to be another band called Finis Omnium, and a band from Montpellier called Opprobre, which are really good guys. And we played this concert, and it was really cool because it was not like an usual black metal concert. You had some black metal heads, but drew some people which were not much into black metal and didn't know much about that genre. It seemed like a friendly punk concert. Yeah, the venue was completely full. It was on a Sunday. We didn't expect that. It ended up pretty well, saying and screaming, "Fight the police, siamo tutti antifascisti," and stuff like that. So it was really a great experience.
You think this is going to happen again for this coming year, Antonin?
I hope so. I really hope so. And I'm trying to be in contact with other bands which agree with us. And we had another gig like that in early November, with a great band called, which is more of a post-metal band, but called Sanates. There was also a black metal project, which you should really dig, but I can't pronounce the name. It's in Spanish, and it is referring to the insurrection in Spain, because the guy is from Spain. He's got a lot of stories to tell about the revolutions and the anti-Franco movements and insurrection that got in the 1930s. It was really an interesting band. And there was also another band, friends of mine as well, called Deception. It was their first gig, and they're also into that urban black metal thing. They were playing with no drums and projecting images of buildings and streets and subways and stuff. It was really cool.
the band released the self-titled Morteminence compilation album on April 15, 2019. Antonin, could you please present us the tracking list and why the intention behind this release?
The thing was to know we just wanted to have the thing on CD because we just released it on the internet, and I think it was also a good idea because the two EPs made their way on the internet and had some pretty good feedback. An Italian label, A Pile of Graves, which is a sub-label of War Against Yourself record, came to us and said they wanted to release something for us, and I think it was the occasion to have our music on CD. This time, all the tracks were in the narrative order, so it was kind of taking the two EPs and putting the pieces together and having the whole story. The release get quite well because they were sold out quite fast. Really grateful from the label to do that.
Antonin, would you like to present us the tracking list for those who don't know yet?
Yeah, so the track list is the first track called Eveil, which is the first track we unveiled on the internet. It was really the first Morteminence I wrote and that we played. It's kind of the first part of the narrative. It's like when you come to realize that something is so wrong in this world and you just want to fight about it and you find some energy to fight about it. Eveil means awakening. The second track is named Fuite, which means run away. Yeah, could be an accurate translation. Deals with the ways you find to run away from the realization of the first track. And there is kind of a duality between being really aggressive and wanting to fight about it and trying to find a way to get out. And actually the tracks goes to this way to get out and realizing that you are a bit powerless about the things, leading to the third and fourth track, the Résignation, so Résignation and Résignation Part 1 and Part 2, which are expression of complete despair, of not knowing where to go and just wondering how you're going to deal with that and how you're going to survive through all this. And the last track, Evaporation, which means vanishing, I guess. It's like some kind of an epilogue, just not ending on a negative note, just saying maybe things are fucked, but you can find some more spiritual and something good to take from all that chaos and just wanting to get somewhere else where things would be better.
Okay, thank you very much for describing the album tracking list to our audience, Antonin. Yes, talking about this album is The Gathering, is part of a conceptual Morteminence diptych telling the story of a fictional character struggling through the anguish of facing the cruelty of the capitalist society, as we just said, dealing with perceiving the world as it is and not as it's shown to us through the blinding and alienating spectrum of ideology, grasping to the ultimate remains of illusion and ultimately sinking into depression and suicidal ideation as he or she intellectually and spirituality destruct him or herself. Okay, that's a brief presentation about this compilation album self-titled Morteminence, and hope you guys will get your hands on this great compilation album. I want to thank you very much, Antonin, for sending me this compilation album and the MP3 file. I really enjoyed listening to all 5 songs.
Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, on December 10th, the band released the 2019 single. Wow. Let me see my...
To be hard to pronounce.
Let me see my French here. Vers des cieux plus serein.
Vers des cieux plus serein, which means towards more serene skies.
Yes, a long and a brutal black metal track, slowly learning towards serenity and calm, just like possibility in these troubled and uncertain times to move forward to a peaceful future. This is a independently released single. Antonin, please tell us about the lyric of this song, and was the mix and master, done the same way as you guys did with the 2 EPs?
Yeah, actually the EPs were mixed by Vincent, our guitarist, and mastered by a friend of us, Damien. But this track was mixed and mastered by Vincent. So we did it completely on our own, and we recorded everything on our own. I was starting to compose second album. Yeah, you could see it that way. Start trying to get some new riffs, some new songs. I already had this song, but I didn't feel like it was going to match the rest of the song that I composed. So since we had it ready, we decided just to publish it and release it as a single. So lyrics we wrote with the bassist, Bény. It's kind of something more optimistic. It just starts from the same realization that on the album. It also deals with the contemplation we have, watch the world fall apart. And that's what triggered the song, because with what is happening all over the world, I mean, these times are really just crazy. It's been 1 year of weekly riots and weekly protests. So it was really a tormented time for France. But this is the same thing absolutely everywhere in the world. Is just going crazy, just seeing what happens in South America, in Chile, in Bolivia, what happens in Hong Kong. Seriously, it's just crazy. It started from that, seeing that the world is on the verge of just exploding, and thinking of how you can find possibilities to find beauty and find comfort in really insignificant and trivial and regular things. And just one day I was just wandering in the street. It was spring, and there were a lot of, I don't know what's the name of the tree, but there was a lot of fallen flowers on the ground, which were between pink and purple. There was a lot of wind. They were moving around like a small tornado of flowers. And I just found that it was really beautiful. And it's something that just made me happy for a second. And just for 1 second, just made me not think that everything is going to a total shitstorm. And that's kind of the idea of the song. That's why it starts really brutal and really, really harsh. Maybe you can just think of it as a normal traditional black metal song at the beginning, and then it slowly goes towards something really atmospheric and ethereal, and it's more like some kind of dreamy post-rock with a friend of mine, a young girl called Lucy, who did a spoken word about just caring about each other and being benevolent and just be careful with each other. So that's the idea of the song.
Okay, I see the cover artwork that you guys have done for each and every single release so far, the EPs and now also the compilation album. Who's responsible for all the band's album covers artworks?
It's our guitarist, Vincent. He does everything himself. He kind of enjoys doing Photoshop stuff when he's bored at work. And actually, the result is quite good. So, yeah, everything has been done by him.
Okay, the band performed for dozens of gigs in France in 2018 and 2019, playing with bands such as Fortereur, L'Homme Absurde, and many more. The band played last gig, that was, December 12 for 2019 at, Le Trois Music Club. Did you guys play along at this gig? And or did you have more bands playing that night? And how was the place attendance? And how was the night in general gone?
It was organized by someone who sometimes throws gig in Rouen. We were 3 bands: Morteminence, my friends from Malingre, which is a really rough and extreme doom death metal band. They released 1 album actually that you should also dig, really cool. And a band from the south of France called Verdun, which are signed on Throatrunner Records, which is the European delegation of Deathwish Records. And it was a great night. We didn't expect much from it because it was almost winter. It was in a local town, and but it was really good, and it was quite great to see Verdun, which are also a really cool band. People were quite enjoying the music. I think it was one of our best gigs. I hope we will have some more good gigs like that next year.
Since we are already approaching the holidays and end of 2019, I like to wish you all the best for what's left over for this year and for a great new 2020. What will be there for the band in 2020, and are there shows already booked?
Not for the moment. I'm kind of working on it, but I also quite really focusing on finishing the composition of the new album. And I have 3 to 4 tracks which are going to be on it with interludes and some a bit of experimentation. I'm also thinking of another concept. We're going to deal with also similar subjects, but with another way of saying it. And I'm mostly thinking about drawing some kind of a contemplative wandering of modernity and urbanism. I'm thinking about it right now, and I have to sort things in my head. Hopefully we'll finish to record that by January or February and have it released for mid-2020. I hope so.
Keep us posted, Antonin, but I now are inviting you as soon as you have Morteminence second album ready. You are more than welcome to meet with us again here on Madame Messiah Radio so we can talk more about this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, I saw that the band have T-shirt available, but in how many different style do you have them? And are there more merch from the band available?
Yeah, that's kind of a awkward question. We're actually not too much on the merch side. I know we should, but just that I'm too lazy to do that. But we released some T-shirts which we did ourselves. Vincent did the logo and the visual, and a friend of us has a workshop in the center of Rouen, helped us making the T-shirts, so we did them ourselves. And I think we're going to continue doing that because first it passes time and it's really fun to do. And we also have some patches which I should upload on the Bandcamp. Thank you for reminding me of doing that. And we will hopefully make some more merch this year.
I read that the T-shirts are sold out. Are you going to be printing more?
No, it's just the S size that is sold out. Yeah, we have like 10 of them left, something like that. We are going to make more. We have more visuals, more ideas. And this time we'll make girlies because we didn't make girlies last time.
Okay, so you guys heard. Come on, you have to get your merch. Yeah, order all these merchandises the band has ready for you, available for you, including this great new compilation album, Morteminence. Yes, I'm gonna try to get mine, and I hope you guys out there order yours as well. Antonin, I want to thank you very much for once again I have made this interview possible, and I want to hand you over the microphone of Madame Messiah Radio for you to invite all your friends, all your fans to support the band, buy the band's brand new masterpieces, as I said, Morteminence, and to keep an eye on the band so while you are already working on the band's second album, and also to attend the band show as soon as the band has these shows, announced.
Thank you very much. If you want to catch the compilation, there are only a few copies left, like something like 3 or 4 on our label, File of Grave Records, and hopefully we'll get some news for you soon, and hopefully we'll get some news, Metal Messiah. Yep. And thank you so much for supporting us, and thank you so much, Jacobo, for interviewing us. Well, me, and because I'm alone, but all the bands is there with their spirit. Thank you a lot.
Before we leave, Antonin, I'd like you to say hello to Vincent for me, to Jérémy, to Bény, and also to Nicolas.
Thank you.
Yes, once again, I want to thank you very much for replying to my interest in interviewing the band, since I'm sure one of the DJs around here that looking forward to promote all the bands doing this type of music, doing post-metal. We are looking forward to interview all these great men that are doing great music and deserve to be promoted.
Thank you very much. I can send you some mails if you want, because there are a lot of things out there. Thank you very much for contacting me. It was really a pleasure.
Okay, like I always say, metal on. Bye-bye.
Metal on. Yeah, bye.